3 women vanished from their home in the middle of the night. No forced entry, no screams, no blood. Their cigarettes, cars, purses, all left behind. A dog was pacing inside. The front door was unlocked, and not a single soul has seen them since. Over 3 decades later, there are no arrests, no confessions, not even a solid lead. Just whispers, just shadows, just silence. They were called the Springfield Three, but they weren't a mystery, not at first. They were mothers, daughters, best friends, until one ordinary night erased them completely. It all started on June 6, 1992, in Springfield, Missouri. That night, the air was thick with graduation energy. Balloons, flashbulbs, teenage laughter. Stacy McCall and Susie Streeter had just graduated high school, 18 and 19 years old. Young, beautiful, full of plans. They were excited, ready for what came next. That night, they were supposed to stay at a friend's house after some parties, but the house was too crowded, so they made a last-minute decision to crash at Susie's place instead. Susie's mom, Cheryl Levitt, was already home, 47 years old, a hard-working, no-nonsense hairdresser who'd raised Susie alone. Friends described her as private and focused. She'd been through a divorce, started fresh, built a stable life for herself and her daughter. Her night was supposed to be quiet. Somewhere between 2 and 2:30 a.m., all 3 women were likely in the house. That was the last time anyone saw them alive. The next morning, when friends came by to go to the water park, no one answered the door, but all 3 cars were still parked out front. That was strange. One of the girls eventually let herself in. What she saw was confusing, because it didn't scream danger. It screamed unfinished, unsettled. Purses, makeup, wallets, all untouched. Susie's dog was agitated, barking and nervous. There were no signs of forced entry, but something was off. The glass globe from the porch light was shattered, and someone had cleaned it up. That detail changed everything, because now we know people had already walked through the house. Friends, family, someone even vacuumed. They moved items around, wiped surfaces. They thought they were helping, but unknowingly they might have destroyed the only real clues the women left behind. By the time police were called, the house had been thoroughly compromised. Still, there were other signs. Cheryl's bed looked like it had been slept in. Cigarettes were left half-smoked. A lamp had been knocked over. The TV was on, but no one could say what time the women had vanished. There was no clear window, no screams heard, no witnesses. It was like they were there one moment and gone the next. Investigators quickly realized this was no simple runaway case. All 3 women had plans the next day. Their belongings suggested they were mid-routine. Nothing was packed, nothing was missing. No signs of a robbery or a break-in. Just that chilling detail, an unlocked front door, and lives interrupted. And then came the phone call. One of the girls who stopped by the house that morning received a strange message while inside. A man's voice, obscene, disgusting. The call was dismissed as a prank and never recorded. But that detail, one creepy call, still sticks out, because it might have been someone taunting them, or warning them, or worse, someone who was there. Then the theories began to swirl. Was it a kidnapping? If so, how do you quietly remove 3 people from a house in a suburban neighborhood without waking anyone up? Without any signs of a struggle, without a single scream? Police considered whether it was someone they knew, someone they willingly let inside, someone who knew their routines, who knew when to strike. Attention quickly turned to a man named Robert Craig Cox, a former Army Ranger and convicted kidnapper with a long criminal record. He had been convicted of abducting and nearly killing a woman in Florida, and in 1992, he just happened to be living in Springfield. When questioned, he claimed he had an alibi. He was with his girlfriend. But years later, that girlfriend admitted he told her to lie. Then came the most chilling moment of all. In a jailhouse interview, Cox said flat out, he knew what happened to the Springfield Three, claimed they were dead, and added almost casually, they'll never be found. He's refused to elaborate, said he'll talk when his mother dies. She's still alive, so he's still silent. Authorities have never charged him, but they've never ruled him out either. Then, in the early 2000s, another disturbing tip came in. Someone claimed that the three women were buried beneath a hospital parking garage, specifically at Cox South Hospital, not far from where they vanished. A concrete foundation had been poured shortly after their disappearance. Investigators brought in ground-penetrating radar. What they found? 3 anomalies. Human-sized shapes, side by side, exactly where the tipster had claimed. But the hospital refused to excavate. Said it would cost too much. Said the anomalies could be anything. Old pipes, concrete flaws, they didn't want to risk damaging the structure. To this day, that section of the garage remains untouched. And those 3 shapes? Still down there, maybe bodies, maybe nothing. But the families have begged for it to be dug up. Their requests have gone unanswered. The case went national. Unsolved Mysteries featured the story. So did CNN. So did dozens of crime shows. Hundreds of tips came in. Psychics, former police, people claiming they knew someone who knew something. A few leads looked promising. All led nowhere. Some think it was a planned abduction. Others suspect the women stumbled onto something they weren't supposed to see. Maybe drug activity. Maybe something darker. There were even whispers of a police cover-up. Others point to trafficking, satanic cults, organized crime. But here's what makes it so chilling. No one knows anything. There's not a single piece of physical evidence in this case. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witnesses, no body, no vehicle. It's as if the house swallowed them whole. Today, the house on Delmar Street still stands. It's been bought and sold, remodeled and repainted. But for those who know the story, it's frozen in time. That porch light, that unlocked door, that silent street where 3 women disappeared without a sound. Susie's brother still fights for answers. He calls the department. He reads the case file. He watches as birthdays pass, as graves go unfilled. As a mother, a daughter, and a best friend remain trapped in a question with no answer. It's been over 30 years. No closure, no justice, no peace. Someone out there knows what happened that night. Someone out there has kept a secret for over 3 decades. And unless they speak, the Springfield Three may never be found.